Gotta love Skarbrand. He is absolutely one of the coolest characters in Total War Warhammer. Today, Sage is going to be taking him with some Chaos Knights of Khorne backing him up. Khorne, of course, facing off against the High Elves. Let's take a look at the rest of the build before these Reaver Archers get into action. Got some Marauders up front. Looks like 5 of them. 2 Halberds plus a Blood Shrine to support in melee and do some Chariot-style disruption. Got a couple of Warhounds over on this side as well. And then, of course, the Knights and Skarbrand. So, obviously, is a Khorne rush build. Who's surprised, but fairly focused with some decent anti-large and plenty of speed as well. The Reaver Archers are the speed of the High Elves, and we've got Imric on a dragon along with a Moon Dragon. And then it's all skirmish. Very interesting build here, especially against Khorne. But we've got 3 Shadow Walkers, 3 Lothern Sea Guards, and a healer here with the Lore of Life. So, yeah, it's going to be a rush versus kite a little bit here, and let's see how this goes, given that Khorne has relatively limited mass. The Warhounds do have speed, but they lack the mass to be able to consistently trap dragons. We'll be able to somewhat keep them on the ground just if they don't get terrified away, but yeah, the Warhounds are going to come forward here, eat some volleys from the Lothern Sea Guard and the Shadow Walkers and everything, so no surprises there. Going to get quickly driven back, but the Marauders follow up. And, you know, Knights also kind of just mirroring. This is what you would want to do in this situation, is just stay close to wherever you think the dragons are going to land. And you've got Skarbrand plus the Knights together that can kind of combine to help keep them on the ground. I mean, it is going to be 2v1 on a single entity fight, pretty much no matter what, as long as the High Elves keep their dragons together. So, yeah, a couple of breath attacks land early. One of them doesn't do a whole lot of damage. One of them does a decent amount of damage. About a quarter HP already off for those Chaos Knights. But big line engagement getting going here. The High Elves don't have too much room to kite. Lothern Sea Guard also, as we get some frame hitching there. They're not the fastest in the world. Certainly, unshielded version is faster than the shielded version, but still, they're just going to stand and fight here. Whereas the Shadow Walkers are doing a little bit more of a traditional kite style, although they are relatively limited in number. But yeah, we're going to get the dragons landing on Skarbrand here. The Knights kind of counter-collapse. And 2v1, we'll see how this engagement goes. Imric obviously gives quite a big power spike with his abilities. Got Lord of Dragons active, Wrathful Reaper, juicing up the weapon strength of Skarbrand. He's also got the Rage embodied, but I don't think... yeah, neither of the dragons have taken enough damage so far to actually enrage. That being said, all across the field, melee engagements are going to be going very well in Khorne's favor. Lothern Sea Guard are a decent hybrid unit, but cost-wise, they're going to get outclassed significantly by the Khorne Marauders here. And this is one situation and matchup where specifically the Khorne Marauders' Frenzy, their extra melee attack versus defense profile as well, gives them a pretty good advantage here. They actually have the melee attack to consistently get through martial prowess, so we see some of them just winning outright against Lothern Sea Guard, which is quite nice to see. Yeah, 44 melee attack base just with the Frenzy active, so of course that goes up even higher with the Blood Shrine. That said, Skarbrand ends up taking some damage in this engagement. Nothing too crazy, but with the Halberds and with the Chaos Knights in support, he has plenty of position to get some good work done. Breath attack there from Moon Dragon, and the Halberds does some decent damage, but Reavers are paying the price here as Skarbrand also just finishes off a unit of Lothern Sea Guard with his own breath attack there. And that will allow those Marauders to continue moving up to provide support. The edge of the map is coming up here, though, so the High Elves don't have much more room to maneuver. But the Dragons kind of dropping here. One of them staying in the air for some healing, but the other dropping to try and finish off that unit of Chaos Knights. There is a unit of Chaos Knights being held in tactical reserve here, which is completely fresh and fully healthy, so they're going to be able to come in the late game, try and help out. This one Clutch Halberd unit as well. Basically, Skarbrand just needs to fight on top of the Halberds and the Knights as much as he can, and let his other units move in to get this big melee blob going. And yeah, the motorcycle here, the Blood Shrine, will do a great job of disrupting and keeping this blob together. Also, that AoE buff as they fight those Shadow Walkers and other units will be quite helpful. But move back on over here and watch the power engagement play out. Skarbrand gets some really nice damage now on Imric. as the other dragon drops down, having done a breath attack as well. But yeah, the halberds, Chaos Knights also contributing quite nicely. The Chaos Knights in particular, 54 melee attack, 59 weapon strength, 18 AP. So not the most AP per swing, but I mean dragons are in the 90 armor range, 70 to 90 for both of these. That does mean that a good amount of that non-AP damage will be getting through depending on the dice rolls, but fairly quickly the balance power flips. And yeah, with Imric being routed off, only the Moon Dragon left to fight Skarbrand, who has completely healthy Chaos Knights here. Didn't manage to get a single kill, but did get 500 value on that late game sweep. And, you know, sometimes you might forget a unit, sometimes you specifically, purposefully leave them in tactical reserve. I'm not sure of the situation here, but ended up working out pretty well in Khorne's favor because he didn't end up, you know, committing the Knights to the other side, although they probably could have run down the Shadow Walkers. Still, it was good to have them as a backup for when this one inevitably kicked the can. He can help out Skarbrand, and he himself is the main kind of power piece here that pays for itself. Some of the Hounds do a nice job as well. Some of them have leadership issues and aren't brought back to the fight, but I like the Blood Shrine as well, just juicing up the Marauders so they can trade more effectively into whatever elf units. Very odd elf build, I will say, for the High Elves. You know, kiting is definitely a valid play strategy, no doubt. It can be tricky to pull off properly against Khorne, especially on a smaller map like the one we saw there, where you're going to run up against the edge of the map pretty quickly, so you kind of have to almost kite at an angle, which can be a little bit trickier even than regular kiting, which is already tricky enough in and of itself. So, yeah, interesting build, but I like the double dragons against Khorne. I think that's a pretty good place to start. I just might take a little bit more traditional of a support structure around it. Shadow Walkers are a cool unit, but I don't see much of a place for them in this particular matchup. I mean, they do have an anti-infantry bonus and can fight some Hound units just fine, but Flesh Hounds count as large. And Khorne has plenty of other power mobility units like these Chaos Knights who can cause them a lot of problems, so this probably wouldn't end up taking them in this matchup personally, but it's definitely interesting to see something different. You know, I certainly appreciate it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this as well. Let's just kind of quickly finish up here with, you guys are going to be seeing, and I've talked about this before, but for any of the Monogod factions and for Warriors of Chaos, just take Chaos Knights with swords and shields. Don't take the Lance variant. Take these guys, you know, again, any Monogods, or for Warriors, you can give them pretty much any mark you want. There's different benefits each, but one thing about Khorne is they do tend to sacrifice a bit of melee defense for extra armor, and of course you get the Frenzy baseline and flaming damage, Nurgle Poison, extra melee defense, a little bit less melee attacks. They're going to be in need of a little bit more melee attack support to be able to get consistent damage out, but will be quite tanky. As a mobile unit, Slaanesh gets a little bit of extra speed and the physical resistance and devastating flanker, which on 44 charge bonus is fairly significant. I mean, you might think it'd be better on the Lance variant, but unfortunately the Lances just don't work well right now. Leech, of course, gives you magic damage and barrier, which are two very strong abilities, especially for cavalry unit of this tier. But anyway, that's yeah, just basically Chaos Knights. So like for Khorne, definitely if you look at sort of their mobility setup, they've got a couple of different tiers. You know, you've got your Warhounds, Furies, and Flesh Hounds then kind of sit at the mid tier to a degree, and then you I guess have Chariots. They supposedly are working a little bit better now. I have to look at them and see, but then obviously the Knights sort of sit at the elite tier, and then you have the super elites, the Skull Crushers, and so forth. But yeah, these guys sitting at a really nice competitive spot at 1400. They're pretty expensive, but still can get a lot of work done for you. And just in terms of their overall utility, they are very much a great kind of Swiss Army knife that can fulfill a bunch of different roles, and just in general is very needed, I think, in just about every matchup. I think there's maybe only one or two matchups where I wouldn't bring any. But for the most part, I would recommend them. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.